This is lesson number 2, the boogie. You have the music for this. If you don't have the music for this, you can get a hold of me at fish29@verizon.net. And I'll be more than happy to give you a copy of the music so you can follow along with this video. This is called the boogie. All right, now first thing we're going to do is learn the rhythm that goes along with the boogie. What you're going to do is you're going to play the 6th string and 5th string with the pick at the same time. Now the 6th and 5th string are the 2 thickest strings on the guitar. And what you're going to do is you're going to strike both of them with the pick at the same time. Like that. And that's going to be the rhythm. So if you count, then it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so it's 2 strikes to each beat. All right, let me show you a little bit a close-up with the picking. See how I'm hitting both strings at the same time? And the next part is going to move to the 5th and 4th string and do the same thing. Back to the 6th and 5th. It's a good idea to practice that pattern with the picking first before you try to play the boogie. So once again, you're going to play the 5th and 6th string together with that same rhythm. That's a characteristic boogie pattern. Okay, now that's with the pick. With the left hand, what you're going to do is you're going to use your first finger and you're going to press down on the 2nd fret on the 5th string. Okay, and what you're going to do is pick, once again, both strings at the same time, but you're going to hold down your first finger on that 2nd fret. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to play that twice, and then we're not going to never lift the first finger up. We keep him down, but what we're going to do is we're going to put the 3rd finger down on the 4th fret on that 5th string, the same string that I'm holding my first finger down. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have 2 fingers on the same string. Okay, and when I put that 3rd finger down, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to strike the 5th and 6th string with the pick. Same way, with that same rhythm. So the first finger, 3rd finger. Once again, notice I never take my first finger up. Always keep him down, because then he's ready when I lift my 3rd finger up. Okay, so I'm just moving 1 finger now. Okay. I hope you're getting all this. All right, now we're going to learn to count it. Now, like I said before, for each beat you're going to play, you're going to strike it twice the string. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So 4 beats is what we call 1 measure. So what we're going to do is the first pattern, which is... we're going to play for 4 measures. So we have to count it 4 groups of 4. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second measure, 2, 3, 4. Third measure, 2, 3, 4. Fourth measure. Okay, so the first pattern is 4 measures. Then what we're going to do is going to move the first finger over to the 4th string. Okay, same fret on that 2nd fret. And what I'm going to do is, like I said before, now we're going to strike the 4th and 5th string together with the pick. That same pattern, the same rhythm. So now I'm going to alternate between the first finger and 3rd finger. The same way as I did it on the 5th and 6th string. So we're just moving over. Okay, so when we move over to the 4th and 5th string with the 2nd pattern, we're going to do 2 measures of that pattern. Yeah, 2 measures. So how many beats is that? Yeah, 2 groups of 4. That's 2 measures. So watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. That's the 2nd measure. And after the 2nd measure, I'm going to go back to the first pattern, the 5th and 6th string. And I'm going to play that for 2 more measures. 2, 3, Okay, you got it all? All right, so let me review. The first pattern, which is the 5th and 6th string, alternating back and forth. Second measure. Third measure. Fourth measure. A total of 4. Now we switch to the 4th and 5th string. Second measure. A total of 2. Back to the first pattern. 3, 4, 1. And 2 measures for this. Okay, so that's the first part of the boogie. Now we're going to do some chords. What we're going to do is, with the first finger, you're going to go up to the 4th fret. 4th fret. Okay, that's right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bar. I'm going to lay that first finger right across the 4th fret from the 4th string down to the 1st. So I'm going to lay them like that. You got to really press down hard. You got the soft part of your finger. You got to, get a little bit of a callus on that finger. All right, so I press down on the 4th fret, and I'm going to strike the strings from the 4th string down with the pick. And what I'm going to do now to complete this chord, I'm going to put my 3rd finger down on the 1st string on the next fret, which would be the 5th fret. So my 1st finger is barring the 4th fret, and my 3rd finger, not the 2nd or pinky, the 3rd finger is playing the 1st string on the 5th fret, 1 fret higher. And I'm going to strike only those 4 strings with the pick. I'm going to use that same pattern, that same rhythm that we did on the first 2 patterns. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and... Okay, so that's a B7 chord. All right, now this chord is really unique because there are no open strings. So I can move this chord anywhere on the guitar. Now, depending on where I play it, the name will change. But on the 4th fret, it's B7. So it's going to be with that same rhythm. It'll be 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 measure only for B7. Then after the B7, I'm going to keep my fingers exactly where they are. I'm just going to slide them down to the 2nd fret. Okay? Same fingering. My 1st finger is barred from the 4th string across. 3rd finger is on the 3rd fret. And that's going to be A7. 2, 3, and 4, and 1 measure for A7. So the whole thing, when we get to the B7 chord, it's 1 measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and... All right, now to switch from that B7 to the A7, you're going to have to practice that, going back and forth. You got to get used to keeping your finger kind of glued, frozen in that position, and you just slide it down to the 2nd fret and then back. So you can practice going back and forth. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, back. It's good exercise. B7, A7, B7. When you get more advanced, you can do this, which sounds real cool. That's a little bit more advanced. All right, so when we get to the B7, it's going to be 1 measure of B7. We count 4. Then we change to A7 for 1 measure. And then we're back to the first pattern again for 1 measure. Okay? And then after that last measure of the first pattern, we're going to end it with going up to the B7 chord for 1 measure. 3, 4, and then the whole thing starts over again. So that's the complete boogie. When you count it up, it'll be 12 measures long. So let's go over it once again. First pattern, 4 measures. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You gotta keep track. This is the 3rd measure. 3, 4, 4th measure. 2, 3, 4. Change. 2nd measure. Back to the first pattern. 2 measures, right? Now get ready for the B7. 1 measure, A7, 1 measure, back to the first pattern. Then we're going to end with the B7 for 1 measure. Then it starts over again. Okay, so that's a complete boogie. Now a lot of times at the end, I ended with that B7 chord, that last chord. That's chord number 12, or measure number 12 of the whole pattern, the whole chord progression. A chord progression is just a a sequence of chords or patterns that's put together that's repeated over and over again. That's what you call a chord progression. So that's important to know. So learning the boogie does a number of things. It teaches you to count and keep your place with chord progressions, which is probably one of the most important things you can do in music. And the other thing, it teaches you to stretch. This is a good stretching exercise with that first finger and third finger. Guys and gals that are new to doing this, new to playing the guitar, when you put that first finger down, you keep them there, and you stretch that third finger up to there. At first, you might find it a little hard to get to that, but if you really keep that first finger anchored, because what you're doing is you're holding him down, and when you go to your third finger, he's going to naturally like go over here or somewhere here. But since you're holding him down, when you push down with the third finger, he's going to stretch against the first finger up like that, and you play it down, and then you release it, then stretch, release, stretch, like doing an exercise, stretch. But the important thing is to keep that first finger down and stretch that third finger up. Okay, if you do it for a week, you should have no problem with it. The other thing is to keep your hand down. See my hands down like this, so my fingers come around. You don't see my thumb just peeking over the top of the guitar. It's not up here like this. If I did that, I'd be really hard to reach that third finger over here. So when I drop my hand down, my hand spreads out. See that, how much it spreads out? As soon as I start to bring that thumb up and my hand up against the guitar, look, I get cramped. There's not much I can do, but once I do this, I can even stretch further if I wanted to, but up here, it just doesn't work. So two things to watch. Always keep the first finger down and pull the third finger against that first finger, away from that first finger. And keep your hand down. So that's a good technical exercise to play, to learn to play the guitar well. Okay, and one more thing, that last chord, once again, getting back to that last chord, the B7, we did for one measure before the whole progression started over again. That chord is called a turnaround chord. In a chord progression, you have usually one, two, sometimes a few chords that we call a turnaround, that when you listen to it, it tells you that you're going to start that whole progression or the whole song over again. So that's a turnaround chord. Sometimes with the blues, they don't play that turnaround chord. So if you don't play the B7, you would just stay with two measures of the E of the first pattern. The only problem with that is when it starts over again, there's no chord in between. So sometimes it's easy to get lost if you don't keep track of the count. Okay, let me play it one more time for you, okay? Once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second measure. You gotta keep count. Third measure. Fourth measure. Second pattern. Second measure. Back to the first pattern. 2 measures. Second measure. B7. 1 measure. A7 for 1 measure. Back to the first pattern for 1 measure. Back to B7 for 1 measure. And then it starts over again. Okay, so this is the boogie. Total of 12 bars long, or 12 measures, however you want to say it. Sometimes we call measures bars, and we can interchange that term. All right, but you got to learn to count. Keep your hand down. Keep that first finger anchored when you go to that third, and you should be fine. Practice it a little bit every day, and within a week you should be able to play it fine. It's a lot of fun to play the boogie. So I'll see you next time.